I present to you Hey guys, it's Nicole. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. I mostly post music and book related content, but of course I am plant-based, so in vlogs or other food-centered videos, everything is vegan and or plant-based. I'm thinking of doing like eating like a certain musician types of videos where I veganize the favorite foods of different musicians or celebrities whose art that I talk about on my channel. Basically, if you want me to post more plant-based content, please let me know down below. Today I wanted to make an update of sorts to a video I did a little over a year ago where I did the 30-day vegan challenge. This video ended up being pretty popular on my channel, but basically, spoiler alert, I never stopped. I felt too good. The only reason I did that challenge was because I was so intimidated by the concept of going vegan or plant-based and just like completely changing my diet until I found the 30-day vegan challenge and things like Veganuary, and it was a way to give it a trial run to see if I could do it. I love a no commitment sort of thing, and it ended up being the thing that kept me this way since June 2020. I will link the original video up in the eye if you want to see my first month of this experience. The effortless weight loss was honestly what really kept me doing this. Like, that was the main part for sure. Depending on where you live, this can be something that might be easier than you think. I live in Oklahoma. Granted, it's a city in Oklahoma, but even for me, it's so easy and convenient that it's not even something I think about. Most of the time, I just joined one local vegan Facebook group, and now there's just so much stuff to eat. Like, there's way more than I ever thought there was. We are making lots of progress. It's almost 2022, and everyone wants to do some kind of New Year's resolution, and lots of those involve trying something new with their diet or their fitness. I will forever be an advocate for the 30-day plant-based challenge just because of everything it's done for me and my health. I now have like 5% of the stomach issues that I used to have. My digestion used to be so bad, and I just kind of thought it was just always going to be that way, genetics or whatever. All it took was some fiber, baby, and no more dairy, because yikes. I've since had blood work done since I posted my last video and since going plant-based, and I never updated you guys on that. My cholesterol took a nosedive. My good cholesterol is so beautiful. She's gorgeous. She's on the very high end of normal. My protein is on the high end of normal. It was always normal, but now it's just kind of like on the high end of normal. So that's just really like a slap in the face to anybody who's like,
oh my god, how do you get protein? How do you do this? It's not possible.
It is. Iron is finally up to a normal range. It's still very much on the low side of normal, but we're working on that. And my blood sugar was never high, but now my fasting blood sugar rests at very much on the low side of normal. I don't know if that's good or bad or means nothing. However, type 2 diabetes does run in my family, so that was definitely like a relief. I don't know, I just feel like I've hit the jackpot with this, and I would love to encourage someone to try Veganuary in 2022. Discover what meat and dairy alternatives you enjoy beforehand. If you are anything like me, I definitely was coming from like the very standard American diet, some kind of meat and cheese for every meal, eggs for breakfast maybe half the time. Old habits die hard. I think it's good to find replacements, especially in the beginning, and it's good to start finding those sorts of things now. Like, if you're watching this at the time I'm posting it and you're thinking of doing Veganuary, you need to be starting like in the middle of December, finding things that you actually enjoy before you're like completely cold turkey and you don't know what you're doing or what to eat. I pretty much gave up red meat a few months beforehand, not really intentionally. I just started trying more vegan options at the restaurants I was frequenting. I tried the Del Taco Beyond Meat, the Carl's Jr. Beyond Burger, Impossible Burgers that are at like Red Robin and Burger King, I believe. And I ended up pretty much just not having eaten red meat for like 4 months before I completely went plant-based. I just found veggie burgers to be so much tastier. You could try out some new methods of preparing tofu, go with like things you kind of already know vegan or plant-based people are eating, do a little bit of research and just try a few new recipes out. I ate a few fully vegan meals before my June 2020 plant-based challenge, and I just wanted to make sure I had some go-tos for those days I didn't know what to eat during the month of June. And yes, I previously had never eaten an entire meal with no animal products. And before the health police come for me, okay, I have phased out a lot of these replacements in favor of beans, mushrooms, more like whole food protein sources, but I will forever think that these replacements are such a great thing for people who are just starting and coming from such a meat-heavy diet. Also, I would argue that it's better for you than meat. I'm not a doctor, but in the beginning I was experiencing that as I was eating a good amount of mock meat, to replace the meat I was previously eating. That was a diet that was pretty different from what I'm doing now, that's more whole foods. And even though I was eating those mock meats, my cholesterol still went down. There's fiber in Impossible and there's not any in real beef, so my stomach was taking it a lot better. Like a real burger did not react with me the way the Impossible or Beyond was doing. It does depend on the person. I think mock meats do sometimes have higher sodium, so if you're sensitive to that, you know, just see how you feel, try it out. Sodium's not something I'm super sensitive to, so I had no issue. I think I was in desperate need of some fiber, so it was kind of like any kind I was getting was going to do me some good. And as I said, my health was still improving. Maybe not as fast as it would have been improving if I was eating like more whole foods, but if I was eating like beans and lentils and things like that. But I think it's about baby steps. But don't be scared of mock meats. I've seen tons of vegans and plant-based people online who were like really discouraging about it, and they say like, oh my god, if you even try a Impossible burger, it's gonna send you into this ravenous meltdown hunger of like you're gonna need to eat the real thing because it's not gonna be a sufficient replacement. And like they think that the not quite right taste will make you miss it so much that you immediately go and just like eat 15 burgers. That was just not my experience. Even when I tried things that were like kind of messed up and not quite right at all, I just found a different replacement instead of like running to chicken, I guess. I just never really liked burgers or red meat, so I feel like that was just going to be successful because the Impossible just tasted so much better than meat. Like I never really ate burgers. Chicken was always more of my favorite, and as I said, I did try some nasty vegan chicken in the beginning, and I've since found some good ones. I don't know, I've never had like that visceral reaction that people talk about when eating mock meat. And also another disclaimer, this is not me saying that it is a good idea to always only be eating Impossible or Beyond. Just in the beginning, like I think it can be so great for convenience while you're transitioning and sticking to relatively the same things you were eating before. People like routines, and if you can just like replace everything for that first month and feel like you're doing relatively what you were doing before, I think there's some psychology behind it. Honestly, I think it does a lot of good for longevity. It'll keep you doing this, and I feel like if you go longer than a month, you will discover these amazing plant-based things that are super healthy, less processed. Like I never ate any Indian food before going plant-based, and now it's like a few times a week probably. I eat it way more than mock meat, and a lot of it is much healthier. So I wouldn't worry if you're a little junky in the beginning, okay? I think our bodies naturally will start to gravitate towards things that will just make us feel better. That's been my experience. I eat so many interesting healthy things that I never even knew existed before. We were making African dishes for Christmas dinner, okay? We never did that before. It used to be all big ass hams and like glasses of eggnog. Also, I found real meat to be super bloating to the point where I couldn't really fit many vegetables in after it. I found that I was being way more balanced when I was replacing them with mock meats because I just had more room in my stomach to also be eating vegetables. Like my plate was way more colorful, so there's like more equal parts, I guess. Before, when I was eating meat, that would be like all I would eat because there just was no room. Tip number 2, do it with a friend. I did this challenge with my mom originally. We both continue to be plant-based. Me definitely more so than my mom. Sometimes she like has fish once a month or something, but we ate every meal together. We shopped together. We talked about how we were feeling. Things are always easier with someone else. It also really helps if you share a household as well. But yeah, this isn't a necessity, but I think it's just a really good idea if you can make it work. Tip number 3, don't stress about cleaning out your fridge. Odds are you know some non-vegans in your life. Give them your non-vegan groceries. Check the ingredients on some of the chips, bread, or like cereal that you have, because a lot of it could be accidentally vegan. You can just kind of like slowly phase things out. Don't be too stressed about it. Just buy new things as you find them and as you make room in your house or in your fridge. This was definitely kind of like a cycle journey for me. As I said in the beginning, I bought a few burgers and other simple things, and I ate up the random accidentally vegan groceries. I gave away the others. Then when I had a completely vegan kitchen, I started branching out, joined my local vegan Facebook group, and then I started branching out even more, tried Indian food, started making my own Indian food. Then I began ordering vegan cookbooks from the library, following different vegan pages and companies to know when new products come out. So many changes are being made that if you don't like one kind of vegan chicken strip, like it's not the end of the world. Odds are there will be one a month from now that you will like. Since I started, Gardine's chicken was absolutely disgusting. It was super dry. I did not like it, and I think they changed something. They also added some new lines of different chicken products. I'm buying some of their stuff again since buying them one time in the beginning and absolutely hating it. I didn't let that discourage me or make me give up. New stuff is going to be coming out like literally every week. But yeah, it's really exciting, and yeah, just don't be too stressed out. Just kind of like cycle out the foods you're already eating eating. You can make like little changes or try new things maybe once a month. My diet has evolved so much in the past year and a half than it ever did when I was eating animal products. I literally go through a different phase like every single month. Tip number 4, do research. Some of you may want to take the route of like the healthiest possible vegan diet. I applaud you for that because that was not me. I love convenience. I was a full-time student at the time of starting. I was taking like 10 classes a week. I didn't want to make things too hard. I was not doing hardly any cooking at home. I wanted to continue to get my lunch at Chipotle. If you're able to have more time to cook, maybe take advantage of that. But I did try a raw vegan diet for a week a couple months ago and I really loved it. But that amount of food prep was not compatible with my lifestyle, even though I loved it. So if I'd have done that right off the bat, I'd have been like, yeah, this sounds great, but like I need a personal chef. Like, how am I going to continue this? I would have been thinking like, oh my God, veganism is insane. Like it's impossible. But there are like 500 ways of doing it now. I just kind of like incorporate raw meals when I have the time to prepare them. Just think about how you want to approach this. Do you want it to be easy like I did? If so, I highly recommend the website vegnews.com. It's a great resource for finding vegan menus at your favorite restaurants or fast food places. They also have very simple, easy, cheap recipes, and a lot of them are like pretty relatively healthy. I know that I felt pretty good eating them. They really kept me going in the beginning. And see if you also have a local vegan or plant-based Facebook group. If you're at work or school one day and you usually go somewhere for lunch or you're unprepared, it's nice to open a web page of a place down the street that just has what you need. I love the internet. Also, there are a lot of small vegan businesses that are in my city's vegan group on Facebook, and it's really nice to support them. I eat at more small businesses now than I ever have before. A lot of small Black-owned businesses, and they're always posting where they are and what they're serving. Some days I just wake up and open my phone and just let the local vegans tell me what's cooking. Tip number 5, learn to read labels. I do this very fast now. Basically what I do, first I look to the bottom to see the huge bold allergy warning. That'll tell you right away if there are milk or eggs. There's also a little label underneath that that will say may contain, and milk or eggs may be included in that. However, I don't really pay attention to that one because that's kind of more for people with allergies. It basically means that this product was processed in a facility that may have also been processing those ingredients. So it's not like it's something that's in the product that you're buying. It just might have touched a conveyor belt that also had those on it. I think that's also a very personal decision. So after I scan the allergy warning, I look at the actual ingredients for words like gelatin or chicken. Sometimes they use chicken, like, I don't know, pieces to like flavor chips, and that's not an allergen. So you'll have to like go look for that in the list of ingredients. It's pretty easy to figure things out. I think there are some weird longer words in alcohol products you may have to look out for because some of them have like bugs in them, but they don't write bugs down, obviously. It's like, I don't even remember what those words are off the top of my head, what those ingredients are called. I'm not too picky about that. Also, because I always forget what it is I need to be looking for. You can do more research if you want to be really positive about where things are coming from. Also, some refined sugar, mainly in the United States, is filtered through bone char. That's gross, and I wish they wouldn't do that, but to me, it's not the same as like gelatin, where I would be like eating actual bones. That's another more personal choice, but the bases are pretty easy to cover when looking at the ingredients. Vegan labels are also really helpful, and they usually look like this. I'll put some up on the screen, but I always check the ingredients again to make sure. I was buying Morningstar veggie bacon for like 8 months before I realized the veggie it was made out of was eggs and milk. So that had me really pissed off. In their defense, veggie does not mean vegan, but like what the fuck kind of vegetable is an egg? On the bright side, Morningstar has publicly stated that they will be shifting all of their products over to completely vegan by the end of this year. They've been saying that since July though, and they're kind of dragging ass. Download the app Is It Vegan? You can scan the barcode of a product and it tells you if it's vegan or not. Tip number 6, be prepared for your favorite meat alternatives to disappear over a lawsuit. So you may find a vegan fish that you really enjoy, and then suddenly it disappears from all the shelves, nowhere to be found. You may think, oh shit, now I have to eat the real thing because it was discontinued. Fear not. I have seen lots of things disappear from the shelves for a time. Then I Google it to find that the fish industry is suing them because their fishless fillets name is too confusing for non-vegan consumers, and they end up buying vegan products on accident thinking that it's fish, which takes away business from the fish industry. That or a shit ton of people are just going plant-based and your industry is dying, but what do I know? Earthling Ed has such a funny video on this. He's like, oh damn it, the dairy-free ice cream I bought has no dairy on it. My almond milk does not contain real cow's milk. I hate it when this happens. Who'd have thought this was what it was? So then finally, after all the recalled fishless fillets are pulled off the shelves and rebranded, which is such a waste of food, first of all, they come back the same tasting, the same looking, and better than ever, I present to you Some brands have gotten really snarky with this frequent occurrence, but basically I'm including this because at first I was genuinely really confused as to why they kept discontinuing and rebranding things, and I'd be so bummed until I found out that it's just constant lawsuits and it would be back with a new name soon enough. I don't see many people warn new vegans of this. Just hi, come on, it'll be okay. They come back. They always do. Tip number 7, be prepared to be weird for a while. While you may find some similar meat alternatives that remind you of what you were doing before, and it seems very self-explanatory for how to dress these up and eat them, sometimes you just don't know what the hell you're doing, and you're trying to combine protein, fats, and carbs in some sort of appetizing manner. But it's so drilled into our heads that we do a vegetable, some sort of starch, and then our meat that you just don't really know how to structure your foods when you take out that meat part or where protein comes from, other than like beans or tofu. That's kind of all I knew as plant proteins at first. My meals were so weird in the beginning. Sometimes the weird combinations I made would even like turn my stomach, especially while you're also adjusting to the higher levels of fiber in the beginning, probably for like the first week only, so don't be too concerned about that. You can see my whole experience in that video I talked about that I did a year and a half ago. Just don't try to eat every single vegan thing all at once. Try to kind of learn the basics of what goes together. Watch what experienced people are doing with the stuff that you have in the fridge that you also buy. Don't mix it all together. Also, don't feel pressured to have a meat replacement in every meal or something that's like fills that gap, I guess. Just because you're used to something that looks like the standard American plate that's like balancing your meat out. Just like really do the monkey see, monkey do kind of thing in the beginning. As I said, the internet is beautiful. I only learned recently that mushrooms are a pretty good protein source. I now have mushrooms with pasta and that's it. Whereas before, when I just started, I would have incorporated like mock meat crumbles into it. The inclusion of meat is so ingrained into our heads that I think that's another reason I was relying on mock meat in the beginning a lot. You just really need to rethink what a meal looks like and what protein is. Please let me know through a comment, or you can message me on my Instagram. If you have any other questions or want more details, there are many more resources online to really learn about this. There are so many new ingredients for cooking. You will learn all about nutritional yeast, miso paste, tempeh. I didn't know what any of those things were before starting. What food chains have what you want. This is a whole new world, and I just wanted to touch on the things I don't see any other people talking about. So do supplement this video with other materials like you're supplementing with B12, especially resources that really break things down. I love watching other people's first 30 days of being vegan or plant-based. That's probably the best way to learn, and don't let it overwhelm you. You can just do what I did and be basic at first. You don't have to buy every vegan staple off the bat. You don't need to have nutritional yeast the first month. Don't come up with a grocery list that's like 100 items long, and I hope you have a good time if you try this. If you do, please come back to this video or somewhere where you can contact me and tell me how it went for you. I always want to know how you guys are doing, and that means you, like literally you watching this video. I'm a real person and I answer all of my Instagram DMs. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to follow me on my Instagram, it is right here, and if you want to follow me on my TikTok, that is right here. I will see you all in a few days for another video, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye guys.